Welcome back. It's now 20 minutes after midnight here on East Coast and 5:20 in London, where we're following breaking news where a van veered into a crowd of worshipers coming out of a mosque around 12:20 this morning. So far, we're hearing one person dead, authorities saying upwards of 10 people injured after a man plowed into them with a van. We have witnesses saying that there could have been 3 people inside of that van. 2 people jumped out and are believed to be on the run right now.
Joining us now via Skype is GRN reporter Jonathan Sacerdoti, who is in London. Jonathan, what can you tell us?
Well, we know little information so far about the attacker, though we do know that police have now arrested that 48-year-old man. Looking at attacks like this, of course, in the past, it has normally been an attack motivated by Islamist ideology with a Muslim attacker who has done something similar. In this case, the eyewitnesses are saying they recognized the attacker as a white man. Some said he had tattoos which would set him aside for not being a Muslim. And that means, of course, that this could be some sort of revenge-inspired attack from an extremist on maybe the far right or some kind of anti-Muslim extremist who has deliberately targeted worshippers during the month of Ramadan when they would be at the mosque at this sort of time.
Jonathan, are there that many such right-wing extremists in London?
Certainly terrorist attacks, if that's what this is now being categorized as, and police say they are investigating it as a terrorist attack, carried out by white extremists, and certainly in this style of vehicle ramming, that is highly unusual. If we look at vehicle rammings as a strategy for terror attacks, it's more normally something carried out by Islamist attackers. We can think about the London Bridge attack. We can also think about the Westminster Bridge attack only within the last few months. Jonathan, in London, in the UK.
If this is, as you describe it, and I think that's a realistic possibility, given the photograph I've just taken a look at of the suspect, or what appears to be the suspect, you may be right about this, a revenge attack. Does that underscore just how much anger there may be among the populace there over the myriad of attacks which London has suffered over the last several months?
Well, of course, most normal Londoners certainly advocate this sort of thing as a response. And I think that just the same way as Islamist attackers carrying out this sort of vicious attack on innocent people, this is going to be seen by Londoners as a hideous thing to be happening, especially, by the way, not connected at all, but so soon after that terrible fire in the Tower Block as well. Certainly London seems to be going through a very difficult time at the moment in relation to terrorist attacks and other disasters.
What is the feeling about law enforcement in London? Are they getting low marks, average, high marks? How do Londoners view them?
It's very difficult to police incidents like this. They are normally stopped before they're attempted to be carried out. So intelligence is key in policing when it comes to attacks like this one. Obviously, when it's one person or a small group of people in a vehicle or using kitchen knives, as we've seen in recent attacks, it's almost impossible to stop them unless they have known links to extremism and are already being watched by police. So this will be an interesting case because we'll have to see whether or not the police, as they talk about this suspect, reveal that they had any information on this attack happening against Muslim people, and whether or not they had any information on the attacker or people that might have helped the attacker to carry out this incident.
Jonathan, with this being the month of Ramadan, are you saying that there's an increase in any security at mosques? You would hope that you would see something like that, especially after the last couple of months we've had.
There has often been talk after attacks, whether it's been in the UK or across mainland Europe, of the backlash against Muslims. And in fact, societies tend to have been extremely careful, some have even said overcautious, to try and prevent backlashes when some said there was no threat of one. Well, this is proof that there can be a threat. This is proof that somebody has deliberately gone and driven a vehicle into pedestrians outside a mosque and has killed one person with 10 others injured, 2 being treated on the scene, 8 others being taken to 3 hospitals, according to the London Ambulance Service. What that means is that that backlash could well be real. It seems almost impossible that this wouldn't be connected to those terror attacks in terms of its timing and in terms of the month of Ramadan, which for Muslim people is a holy month.
What about the political climate? No doubt it's heated there right now. Does that play a part in any of these attacks? And and just the tension there on the streets?
Indeed, the political climate is heated. We have just been through a general election in the United Kingdom, which returned an unexpected result. Theresa May, the Prime Minister, staying on for the moment, but with no majority of her own in the Conservative Party to make a government, and therefore having to try to negotiate with the DUP, a Northern Irish party, in order to come up with a working agreement that would allow her to keep governing as Prime Minister. Given that that's the case, she's been attacked numerous times by her opposition, who have said that she's weak on policing, that she hasn't been doing enough in terms of counter-terrorism, and that her time in the Home Office as Home Secretary before she was Prime Minister may be connected to these attacks taking place now because she cut police funding and police numbers. She, of course, has argued with that.
Jonathan, after the last attack, which was so vicious on London Bridge, and then the restaurants and the stabbings and so forth, I mean, Theresa May really laid down, at least publicly, the gauntlet and said, this is it, this is enough. And she vowed to take stern action. A little vague on what that would be. Did you notice a change? Did law enforcement conspicuously become more militarized there? And what about the intelligence services?
So it's too early for Theresa May to have put much in place in terms of what she said in that speech after the London Bridge attack. And that's because, as I said, the general election meant that she's rather powerless to do much in terms of legislative action at the moment. But there were many police on the street, and indeed there were people from the army with weapons on the street, very unusual in the UK, because the terror alert level was raised temporarily. It's now back down to the second highest level it can be, which is the highest it's allowed to be when there's no known threat about to take place, no imminent threat, intelligence of an imminent threat. However, there has been a strong police presence around public events, trying to set people's mind at rest. And the police today have said that they will have a presence around Muslim events and Muslim locations in order to reassure those people who are honouring the month of Ramadan in their religion.
Jonathan, has the Muslim community been stepping up and taking action at all against these extremists? You would imagine that's so important right now for them to say, hey, this is not us. This is not what we believe in.
There are plenty of Muslim voices who are saying just that, indeed. And Finsbury Park Mosque in the past is not one that has been free of connections to extremism. It has had controversy surrounding it in the past, though new leadership was meant to have been trying to deal with that issue. So exactly why this was targeted, it also remains to come out, whether or not these attackers would have been doing any kind of reconnaissance in advance of this and whether they had planned this specifically on this location for some time. That will all come out in due course. But yes, there are plenty of voices in the UK who speak out boldly against the terrorism that has been taking place, carried out by extremists who have said it's done in the name of Islam. On the other hand, there are those who say that the terrorist incidents have increased in recent months and that means that there is still a problem with Islamic extremism and that maybe not enough is being done, both in the Muslim community itself to report on extremists and also within the wider British policing community and intelligence services.
GRN reporter Jonathan Sacerdoti live in London, Skyping to us. Jonathan, thank you very much for your insights. To recap, before we take a quick break, bottom of the hour, one person is dead. Many others have been injured when a van driven by a 48-year-old suspect plowed into bystanders emerging just after midnight London time from prayers at a mosque. He is in police custody. We don't know the motive. We don't have an identity yet. We'll continue to follow these fast-breaking events as Londoners begin to wake up. It is dawn now. The sun is out. We'll continue our live coverage.